Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. I hope you're doing well and having a good day. My birthday is this weekend. I'm an Aquarius. Woohoo! And of course, it was just like me that to come a month early and then say, "Wait a minute, you know what? I'm gonna keep them waiting." So that's exactly what I did. So I thought maybe it'd be okay with you. I'm going to share some thoughts I have about birthday and what it brings up for me. Obviously, it makes you think about life and getting older, but then also it makes me think about health and how health has been so important to me this past couple years. And you guys know that I like working out and, mental health and everything. I'm actually going to be a Pilates teacher. I'm training to be a Pilates teacher right now. It is not easy. But very excited about that. And I hope to offer a Pilates class at the school by the summer. And I'm hoping that I can offer it outside in our parking lot. So maybe like on a Saturday or Sunday morning when people aren't there. And yeah, to be able to do an outdoor Pilates thing. Pilates is so good for our bodies. For singers, it's so good. It helps with our breathing. It helps just with all of the muscles around the diaphragm. It's really, really good. But it's also just a great exercise. You get really strong. I've been doing it consistently for a long time. And so it seems fitting now to be able to teach a little bit of it. I also was inspired to do this because of the workout witch. I talked about it before, but it's somatic exercises. You do that in the comfort of your own bed, in your pajamas, like before you get out of the bed in the morning or before you go to sleep at night. And it's repeated exercises between 10 and 20 minutes. And it's like hip openers, kind of hip opener and shoulder openers and stuff. We hold a lot of stress and trauma in our bodies and our hips and our shoulders and our neck and all of those places. And it's just a way to release it. My run has gotten so much faster. The Pilates has gotten easier. I was able to release a lot. And so I hope to use some of that in my Pilates and maybe at some point get certified in that as well. But the Workout Witch, go look her up. It's such a great program. I have also been reading a lot about mental health. I find it very interesting, and so I've read internal family systems books. There are no bad parts. Didn't like the book very much, to be honest, and I don't really like internal family systems theory. I don't like thinking of myself as multiple parts. I definitely like the roles and the terminology for the roles and our family. I think that's been very helpful, but I was not a huge fan. Tell me if you what you thought of that. I also read about attachment theory. Attached was my favorite book that I read in a while. I thought it was such an easy read. I think it's really interesting how our early attachments, they um, kind of color every relationship in our adulthood. We have tendencies, either that being securely attached or anxious or avoidant or a mixture. It's just very interesting how we repeat patterns that have not been healed, as adults. And so I think awareness is always a good thing. So highly recommend the book Attached. I also have read The Myth of Normal, Gabor Mate, which is very much in line with this idea of somatic exercises and that our body stores trauma and it stores things that create autoimmune diseases and create lots of different diseases and pains and all that, and how we must be authentic in order and really love and accept ourselves in order for it, for us to start healing from these things that are stored in our bodies. So it was a very meaningful book. I also have read about DBT and CBT and could take it or leave it, but all very helpful. The biggest takeaway that I took from reading all these books is that we all have unmet needs. And our society believes that we should be self-sufficient and meet all of our own needs. And I think that's completely incorrect. I think that actually creates a bigger divide because we are, as a species, we are we need to be in community. We that need must be met by other people. And so this idea of being self-sufficient is, I think, dangerous. And I think it sets us up for failure. And I think that a lot of our mental health issues in this world right now are because we are so detached from each other and separate. And I think that somebody was saying the other day on a podcast to have all screens, internet, everything turned off at 6 p.m. every day. And I think that would be so helpful because I think we have lost the art of connection. We don't ask questions anymore. We've lost our curiosity. We just go to Google and, somebody else has said, I would rather be curious and not have my question answered and still have that curiosity than to go to Google and have that answer it all the time. But to have those questions to communicate with other people. And I think in this lost connection, we have lost our intimacy. And, we talk, and I've talked about boundaries before. I don't think that we can safely hold boundaries without intimacy, without trust. And intimacy is kind of like the unspoken language we have between each other. And it's not just a romantic thing, it's with everybody in our lives that means something. We should be able to have intimacy. And we sometimes, I think, wield boundaries as weapons and ways, and they divide us and they don't bring us together. And I don't think they do what they're intended to do, and that is to preserve our energy and to, protect ourselves. But you can't protect yourself from something that you're not actually connected to. Like, at least not in that way, not emotionally. Like, I think you have to have the connection first. The connection must come first. And how do we do that? How do we build connection and intimacy with each other? Through, and this is what I learned from a therapist, through repairing. So we rupture and then we repair, and that's how we get connection. We as humans are going to mess up. We are going to disappoint each other. We are going to argue. We are going to not be our best selves. It's how do we come back from how do we come back from that? How do we come back as a unit when we don't agree on something or when we've done something to hurt each other? Because that's a real possibility too, right? That we unintentionally or intentionally hurt someone. That is something that's possible. But in the repairing, we have to be able to take responsibility for our part because as adults in every conflict we each have a part to play. And I think sometimes our tendency in this digital age is to externalize our feelings, so blaming others for everything. And I will go through what Google has said about this: blaming others, having trouble controlling our emotions, and acting out with bullying and aggressive behavior, even inattention. So this idea of, we have ADHD. Now we kind of go on a tangent there, but I don't think that ADHD is much as a chemistry thing, and more of a coping mechanism. But that, and then rule breaking and defiance and disruptive behavior, they're all symptoms of externalizing our feelings. And so I think we would do much less of that if we were actually connecting to each other and actually being vulnerable with each other and actually talking about what's actually going on. And that means sitting in that uncomfortability. That means sitting with maybe someone who isn't very happy or someone who is going through stuff. Sometimes we don't want to do that. We don't want to be around that energy, right? But I think that we, in order to connect people, have to be able to have some tolerance for sitting with uncomfortability. If we don't externalize our feelings, then we can internalize our feelings. So that means we blame ourselves for everything. When again, when we're in conflict with people, when we've had a rupture, not one person takes all the responsibility. There's both parties have to take responsibility. And so, and then when both parties have taken responsibility, then you can come together and strategize in ways to maybe not have this happen again. Or, and it might happen again because we're human, right? We are not perfect, but at least the energy is going forward that we're trying to repair. So it's so internalizing is blaming yourself for everything. It is not expressing the feelings that you have openly. It is accepting an idea or belief so that it becomes part of your character. That is something I am definitely guilty of. That I have seen something happen over and over and over again that it becomes a belief. It becomes, oh, well, that's going to happen. And it's very hard to change a belief sometimes. But we can. We as humans have the ability to change our thoughts and our beliefs and our feelings. Um, Having trouble coping with negative emotions or stressful situations. So, how many times have you tried to, and I know I've done this, that there is an emotion I did not want to feel. I did not want to go there. I did not want things to be negative or whatever. And so I was doing things to avoid that. And that was internalizing my feelings. Another way to do it is social withdrawal. We have all done that, and we use the internet as sometimes as their social withdrawal. Feelings of loneliness or guilt, feeling unloved, feeling sadness, feeling nervous or irritable. All of those can be internalizing feeling. Those can be symptoms of that. Now, I am not saying that the internet is all bad. I have had some wonderful experiences, and I've been a part of beautiful virtual groups out there. So Shallon Lester's group has been very pivotal in my life in the past couple years. Anna Lacomi's group has been very, very pivotal. And Studio Evolution has been very pivotal. And Laura St. John's. I mean, all I've talked about these programs in the past. They've been really, really good. But we also need our local community as well. And I think that, and locally, and in this area, sometimes we utilize our own family, our immediate nuclear family as our community. And we've got to have more than that. We cannot rely on just one person for everything. We have to be able to have more in our community. And if we are not asking questions, if we are not connecting to others, then it's never going to happen. And we're going to have a whole generation of people who do not know how to connect to each other. And I've just seen it as someone who doesn't have children, who doesn't have a family. I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen it over and over again. And I think that we got to get ourselves out there. We got to challenge ourselves. The moment we start just trying to maintain comfortability in our lives, we have lost something. We have to be challenging ourselves. And that means getting out there. I really firmly believe we should cut off the internet at 6 p.m. every day so that we have to go outside. We have to go talk to our neighbors. We have to interact with people. Get used to asking questions. Get used to doing the hard work because maintaining relationships, because establishing relationships and repairing relationships and intimacy, it's not easy. So I think a lot would change if we started to work on our relationships and not just accept them for what they are, and that we are comfortable not really being vulnerable with each other, not really talking about what's actually going on, not talking about the good stuff and the bad stuff, but just always focused on maintaining and people pleasing. And like I said, I've been so guilty of people pleasing, being from the South, being born in Dallas, Texas, and from a military family. I was expected to people please. But then I didn't have intimacy with certain people because I wasn't, I wasn't able to be myself. So I'm glad now that that has changed and through all this reading and everything, all the work that I've done, because maybe that'll prevent me from having the disease and having the stuff that's stored in my body. Maybe that I'm now able to get it out. Um, I would just like to see us as a society, all of us get together and start working on it. It's not going to be perfect. Nothing is perfect. We are not perfect, but just accepting it and for what it is, and that is to not ever Even if we consider ourselves introverted or whatever it is, introverts need stuff too. We have needs. Introverts have needs as well, right? They have needs, and those are the needs are about connecting as well. I mean, everybody needs that. So it's not sitting with these people always when things are going well and you can have pleasant conversation. It's sitting when things are tough. And even if you have a lot on your plate, because I know you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, it's like another thing. And why would I want to go hear about somebody's problems, right? Then that when you're having problems, then that will happen for you because it's a that energy spreads out. It is you are helping yourself too. Because we all have needs of community. We need it. We cannot be 100% self-sufficient. It is not possible. We were not created that way. I don't want to be created that way. Do you? Where we don't need anybody else ever. I don't want that. I don't want that in my life. Anyway, I thought that this was fitting today. This talk about intimacy and being in community is such a fitting thing for Valentine's Day because Valentine's is not just about romantic love. It's about love. And this is how we love each other by being there for each other. And everybody's going through hard times. Call someone who you know is going through a hard time. Call them and ask them questions about themselves. Ask them how they're doing, really how they're doing, not, and don't accept the people pleasery answer of, oh, yeah, everything's great. No, ask questions, genuinely care. Because then when you need that from someone else to genuinely care about you, your authentic self, the self that's actually going through the stuff that you're going through, it might happen because you've established that intimacy and that connection and that trust. And then if you need boundaries, then put the boundaries in place. But don't use those as dividers. Don't put boundaries in as a black hole. It's just another way to divide us if not used with trust. There's got to be trust. On that note, I will talk to you soon. Happy wonderful Valentine's. All love, man. All love. Bye.